workshop started. I'm just going to start out from the beginning. I'll introduce myself, and then we'll just go straight into E-Tank, and we'll go from there.
Perfect.
Well,
love it.
Seriously, thank you guys for coming to our PCA workshop today for Double Goal Coaches. It's pretty awesome that we have all of you here, and after you guys finish this today, you will become certified Double Goal Coaches. So we, to make sure that happens, we ask you to go ahead and get out your cell phones for us and text this number. All the information is on the screen behind me. So make sure to send this. Please follow the formatting to the best of your abilities. That way we are getting all of the correct information, and so we can get everything processed. This allows you the ability to access our resources that we give all of our Double Goal Coaches. Something to keep in mind, if you ever have athletes or parents that are actually interested in PCA, we have workshops for them as well. So if you want to reach out to them and let them know about that, we're more than willing to help them out and see what we can do to get them involved as well. So a little bit about me. Again, my name's Hannah Weingartner. I am currently about to graduate from my bachelor's at the University of Kansas in community health and psychology. So how I got involved in PCA, I've been an athlete my entire life, and I absolutely love psychology. So how could I blend the two of those worlds and make this something that I could really dive into? So I thought, what the heck, sports psychology. And I was introduced to sports psych by meeting the one and only Jim Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got introduced to this whole world. So that was kind of exciting for me because I finally found a passion that aligned with something that I was really passionate about. So this is kind of a cool opportunity that I get to talk to you guys and hear your experiences as well. Two things. So when we go into transitions today, I ask you to follow this lead for me. So if I give 3 claps, I want to hear a response of 3 claps in return. Okay, so that's just my knowing that you guys are back in attention with me, and we can keep moving forward and move on to our next section. Are we cool with that? Everyone good?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, second, I am not lecturing at you today. So this is not a lecture. This is a presentation where we are going to have a ton of discussion. As a coach, there are so many areas that I can work on and develop, and that's why you guys are here too. I'm assuming you might not be, who knows, but hopefully that's why you're here. And our goal is to give you information so that we can all become better coaches as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Do we have any questions before we get rolling? No?
Nope.
Cool. All right, let me get on down there. All right. So today we're going to talk about our first principle. Sadly, we don't get to talk about the other ones, but the one that really resonated with me was the E-tank, so our emotional tanks. As an athlete, and I would like to hear from you guys as well, but as an athlete, I experienced a lot of negativity from coaches. And so I think that's what really pushed me to find something like this where it's possible for there to be positive coaches in people's lives, and how influential that is for character development, how we can be great athletes and great people, right? So that's our whole motto. So let's go ahead and get rolling. So the cool part about PCA is also that we partner with so many big names, right? So we have coaches, but we also have people that really just care about human beings in general. So do I have anybody that would be willing to read this quote for me? I'll read it.
I would love to. Yes. It says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Absolutely. Does this resonate with anybody else? Can I see a show of hands really quick? Because this one was, yeah, this one really stuck out to me. I think Maya Angelou says it best. As coaches, we are example setters. So we show our kids what we want them to act out, right? So this just completely lays it out beautifully. So let's go ahead and get rolling with what is an E-tank, all right? So PCA has developed this beautiful picture and this comparison of a gas tank, right? So when our car is full of gas, we can go for miles. Our performance, it's rolling. It makes you feel like you're in a Corvette, right? You're rolling hot. You're looking good, okay? But when your car's empty, you're not going anywhere. You can't do anything, right? So now you're walking, you're sluggish. So they're using this to compare what athletes would look like, right? So does anyone, could anyone tell me what an athlete with their tank empty might look like?
Defeated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I coached elementary school girls, and when they have empty tanks, they're really mean to each other.
Yeah, that's a good one. Perfect.
Yeah. Ornery, cranky.
Yeah, those, no, that's on it.
Some athletes might be the opposite. They might just be closed up and quiet and non-interactive, non-responsive.
So maybe less coachable.
Yeah.
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 So there you go. That's a great lead. So PCA has come up with like 3 phrases or 3 things that really stand out when an athlete's tank is empty, and you guys just hit them dead on the nail. So they're very pessimistic. And again, that's going to come out when you're interacting with teammates, right? Or your coaches in general. So you're pessimistic. You're going to give up more easily. People who are down, they're tired, they're drained, they don't want to try and do better. They're tired. It's hard to excel and be successful if you're tired, right? And we're also less coachable. So if we're having a hard time being coached, that also means there's a huge disconnect between my communication with you as an athlete, and so nothing will be accomplished. So then what would a full tank look like? Anybody have any ideas on that?
Energized.
Perfect.
I think just having fun, no matter what's going on.
Yep. So we're ready to take things on, right? We're ready to take on those obstacles. So yeah, we're optimistic. We're optimistic. We deal better with adversity, and we're more coachable. So that's the equation that we really want to touch on when we're looking at our athletes who have full tanks. But here's the thing. As coaches, we also have to go in with full tanks, right? Because then we're not going to be able to fill up our athletes' tanks either. So if not everyone's filled up, it's not going to be able to create a good atmosphere for all of our athletes and our coaches to be as successful as possible. So that's something. So it's about us as well as the athletes. Okay. Sorry, my computer's being a little finicky on me.
No way. No
Okay.
way.
So I want you guys to get up. I know we've been talking for a little bit, but I have a little scenario I want to run through with you guys. I have it drawn up on the board since we can't actually act it out today. But can I get a bunch of volunteers as coaches? Cool, perfect. So I'm going to have Ruben and Kelly. You guys are going to be my coaches. Joe, I'm going to have you be my player today, all right? Are you willing to take on that task?
Sure.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you. All right, so this is my scenario. Just imagine it for me really quick, okay? So we're thinking about the E-tank. I'm on a softball field, all right? We're in the game, and my player comes up to bat. All of you guys as coaches are on my third base, okay? So you're the third base coach. My player's up at home plate, all right? So Joe, you just hit a double. So you're rounding first, you're rounding second. Coach is yelling, stop, stop, stop. So all of you coaches, you're putting your hands up saying stop. Okay.
Stop.
Freeze. So Joe, I would ask you to close your ears during this part of the session and say, okay, coaches, I want you to really drain his tank. I want you to drain his tank.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Joe, open up your ears. Okay, you're getting back to the bag. Coaches, you're draining the tank. Can I hear what you guys are going to say to him?
What were you thinking?
Oh, man,
what's wrong with
stop,
you?
stop.
Are you ever going to get this right?
My gosh.
Yeah. Joe, how'd that make you feel?
You know, not great.
Yeah, it doesn't do very well for you, does it? Do you want to keep playing right now?
No, I'm not really excited about how well I'm going to do coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's switch this scenario around really quick. Joe, can you go back to home plate for me really fast? I need some hustle, everybody. Come on, let's get rolling. So, all right, we got another double. All right, so Joe, you're hot today. All right, you're hitting those line drives out to left center. We're killing it. Okay, you're rounding the bag. Joe, cover your ears for me. Covers his ears. All right, coaches, I want you to really fill up his tank. Okay,
He muted.
Pump up. Okay.
Sorry, just made me laugh.
All right, Joe, open your ears. All right, coaches, do your thing.
Yes, that way, Joe.
There you go, bud. Way to hit it.
You always come through for our team.
Oh, heck yeah. There you go. All
Good
right.
hustle.
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it helps. I mean, I feel like do it again.
Okay. Good. So, all right, everybody, you guys can go back to your seats. Thank you for all my volunteers for participating. So this is really important, guys. So you all just encompassed, as coaches acting this out, what it looks like to drain an athlete's tank, right? So you gave criticism and correction. A lot of you were giving nonverbals or giving verbal criticisms, right? So a lot of times we'll see coaches, and when I say nonverbals, and sometimes people get confused with this concept because I did it first, was we're throwing our hands in the air, we're rolling our eyes, we're turning our backs on people. We don't want any communication. We're so mad that we don't want to communicate with our athlete anymore, right? And we also sometimes need clarification on what criticism and correction looks like for draining. So that means you're giving non-specific correction, right? So you're just saying, what the heck are you doing? Okay, you're getting on them you're getting on them and giving them no direction on like, what do I want fixed, right? So then you guys also did a great job of encompassing what filling the tank looks like. So can you guys tell me what you did when you were filling the tank?
I was smiling, cheering him on,
Yep.
clapping my hands.
Praising,
Perfect.
praising,
Yeah.
encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is one thing we didn't get to touch on is listening. A huge part about filling a tank is also that we listen to our athletes as well. So when we're in a situation, and I like to call it active listening, because I think listening doesn't necessarily completely encompass what listening is when we're talking to athletes. So active listening, you have something wrong, Ruben. So you've had something go on, right? So you're confused on what happened in that play when I was getting on you, right? So you're telling me what your feedback is. I sit there, I take a second to really assess, okay? I take those 5 seconds to assess, right, what you said, and then I'm gonna repeat it back to you for clarification so that we are both on the same page, everything's out in the air, and we're all good to go, right? The play's done, we can move on, mistake was made, lesson learned, and we're ready to keep moving, right? That's what listening looks like. You guys also had nonverbals, right? So clapping, you know, getting your hands up in the air, getting excited, right? So those are things that we want to do when we're filling tanks, or what it's going to look like when we're draining tanks. So do you guys have any moments in yours, in your careers as coaches where you've caught yourself being a tank drainer?
Yes. Yep.
All the time.
All the time? Could you give me maybe an example?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. I remember a player came up to me and just asked me a question, and I took it as he was challenging my ideas or authority, and I remember yelling at him, you know, and afterwards going, "Gosh, why did I do that?" You know, he's just asking me a question.
Yeah. Yep. Kelly, did you have one maybe that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think I was actually called out on this by a 10-year-old last year of all times when, it was lacrosse and she had a shot on goal and it was the end of the game. And I didn't even realize I was disappointed for her that she missed the shot. I mean, really, but yeah. I was like, oh, and I went like this. And after the game, it was over. There was like, a minute left in the game. And she came over and she's like, "Coach, I'm really sorry I missed that shot." And I said, "Honey," I said, "it's okay." I said, "You took a really good shot." And I'm trying to fill her tank. And she goes, "But I saw you look sad when I missed it." And I was like, "Oh, gosh."
Breaker.
She doesn't even know what I do for a living. But I was like, I just got called out by a 10-year-old. I was like, oh, that's terrible.
Isn't it funny how the younger they are, the more truthful they are? They're so blunt. Like they'll just call you out. So it keeps us accountable. So those are perfect examples. And that's a great story because you got caught off guard when you didn't even realize what you looked like, right? All right, so let's move on. I have a question for you guys, and I want you to, I'm going to put this up on the screen. I'm going to tell you what it is, but we're going to move on to something else, but I want you to keep it on the back burner because we're going to come back to that in a second. So the question is, what is one thing most coaches can do to be more effective? So we got that?
Mm-hmm.
Good? Okay. So let's discuss a couple tools that come with our E-Tank principle, okay? So these are things that you guys can take to your practices, to your games, to your daily lives, okay, that you can utilize to help be an E-Tank filler, all right? So we have something called the magic ratio. Could anyone guess what that ratio might look like? Let's see if we can get this figured out.
3 to 1.
Okay. Anybody else?
2 to 1.
2 to 1. Okay. So here, let me give it to you guys. It's 5 to 1. Okay. So when I first found out that it was a 5 to 1 ratio, I was like, oh my gosh. Five tank fillers to every one criticism. I was like, I'm one of those coaches. I'm a quiet coach. I don't talk much, but when I do, I get really excited. So I'm like, I don't even give enough words in general to give people 5 tank fillers versus a tank, a criticism, a direct criticism. So in doing this, I also found that kids wanted to hear more from me. So when I was taking the time to actually talk to my athletes more directly and give them those tank fillers, I found my connection with them was elevated that much more. So this is why it's really important. So I asked you this question, okay? And I want you to answer this question, right? So do we remember what that was? Okay.
What's the one thing?
What can we do? Yep. So what's the one thing we can do as coaches to be more effective?
Be more prepared.
Be more positive. Yeah.
Okay. So perfect. You pretty much just answered it. It's up our magic ratio, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So Phil Jackson just came out with this quote after talking about one of his instances with his athletes. So they were talking about how he had a hard time communicating with his athlete being a tank filler, but he found even at a professional level, filling his athlete's tank up compared to draining it, there was a huge difference in performance. So it's funny that even as adults, we're seeing this change in tank filling, tank draining, right? So I think that's just one testament to how great this can be as a tool and that we should utilize it as coaches whenever we can. So I have a video for you guys from Phil Jackson. He's kind of give you a little bit of his story on the background. So we watch that. So I have a quick scenario for everybody. So I want you guys to pair up. We're going to make this really fast. So pair up. We're going to get together and answer this question. So as a double goal coach, how can you give them feedback they need to, so that they need to improve without discouraging them? So our athletes, how can we give them feedback to encourage them without disencouraging them? Okay. Perfect. So here's the thing. So our E-Tank magic ratio isn't the only toolkit we have, right? So it's not the only tool in our tool belt that we can utilize. The whole point of being an E-Tank filler is that you're not talking all the time. As coaches, we can get caught up harping over and over again. So that means we're not utilizing teachable moments. So really honing in on those moments that are important, where we can change someone's direction for progress, is ones where we find ourselves avoiding non-teachable moments. Also, in games, when someone makes a mistake, take them to the side and criticize in private. You'll find that kids get really embarrassed. Just to share a really quick story, I had made a diving catch out in left field in my college career, and I missed. And it went behind me. I made the error. I was not supposed to dive for that ball. Knowing that well by myself, my coach got up, kicked her bucket out from underneath her, threw her clipboard in the dugout. It exploded everywhere and started screaming and cussing at me. I was immediately very down on myself, didn't feel good. And I will be honest, I made probably 5 or 6 more errors right after that play. Even though I'm an athlete that prides myself on being successful in that position, but it didn't go very well. So that's one of those things that you guys can think about as coaches when you are addressing your athletes. Do it in private. Don't do it in front of your kiddos, because they're going to see that, and then they're also going to repeat those actions. Also, asking permission is really huge too, right? So we're talking to our kids, can I give you some feedback? You know, would you be willing to hear some feedback from me? If not, it's okay. Come back later and ask them again. And if they come up to you, they're going to be more likely to do that than if you just keep giving them feedback without them wanting it. And also using if-then statements, right? So when I'm communicating with you, if you do this, then this could happen. So then you're laying it out clearly for them to see what's going to happen. And along with our magic ratio, you also include criticism sandwiches, right? You sandwich those criticisms between 2 positive tank fillers, right? So what are they doing right and what are they doing? And what can they work on? So to make the magic ratio work, we use something called the buddy system, okay? So have your players pair up together. So right now, as coaches, I want you guys to pair up really quickly, okay? And I want you guys to give each other 2 tank fillers. Just from meeting your 2 partners, I want you guys to give each other 2 tank fillers, okay? So we've talked. Perfect. Okay. Just right there, you've created a small relationship with the person you're sitting next to that you haven't known at all. You just met each other. Think about how great that's going to be if you require that from your athletes on a daily basis. Think about that team camaraderie. That's going to be huge for them. Okay. Also, writing your things down. So for me, writing down and charting and having a visual so that when I go up and say, hey guys, this is what we did today. How awesome is that? This is what we've exceeded at, and this is what we've excelled at. These are some things, but these are some things we can work on just to make this level even higher. Visuals help them get engaged. Do you guys ever use anything like that?
Well, I did something similar that was, Kelly, did you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Okay. For some reason, Kelly was laughing at me, but that's okay. So Hannah, I did something similar, but it wasn't written. It was with videotape and a college team where we would edit game tape and we would pull out the best plays. It was like a highlight reel.
Oh, cool.
And sometimes we would also put in the blooper reel or things we needed to improve, but we definitely tried to emphasize the highlights as opposed to errors and mistakes.
Yeah. Cool. I really like how you did
I do.
Sorry, Kelly, go ahead. That's my fault.
No. I was going to say I do a skill of the day. And so I have it written on my whiteboard at practice. We don't have a locker room or anything. So I just do a skill of the day. And at the end of practice, I just ask the girls, how many of you were able to do this once? How many of you were able to do it twice? How many of you were able to do it 3 times? And then they get all excited and they cheer.
See, and here's the thing. I would have never thought of those 2 things. So now I get to take what you guys are saying and I get to put that in my back pocket because I would have never thought to add bloopers into it as a way of kind of saying, okay, these are the mistakes you made, but they're funny and, we can improve on them, or having something that everyone can attain and highlight that. So those are great examples. Also maybe having a winner circle. So creating a circle so that we're celebrating our successes and celebrating the people that are succeeding, giving high effort, because that way we can really elevate our game and elevate our energy, right? We need to do that if we're going to be successful. So again, guys, do y'all have any questions really quick before we start finalizing this? Okay. Our e-tank is so important when we're interacting with athletes. To be successful, to create better people, to create better athletes, we have to be able to be tank fillers. But again, we have to be able to be tank fillers for ourselves as well. So this is only going to elevate us as coaches, is if we learn how to fill our own tanks, we can also fill tanks of other people. So that's how I want to kind of go out with you guys. I wish we had more time to kind of go over our other principles, but we don't. And I appreciate you guys sitting in and listening.
All right. Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you.
Did you have anybody else? Do you have anybody else in the room with you watching?
I do. I'm in our lab right now, and one of our other students are in here, so just kind of hanging out.
Last time you had somebody watching too. I'm like, that's got to be harder when there's people actually watching you do this.
Yeah.
Other than us.
It's a good distraction.
How did you feel going through this? This is your 3rd time going through this. How did you feel?
I felt much better with the concepts. So you talked about feedback last time, making sure I'm utilizing our the correct vernacular. So like our principles, our tools, and things like that. I felt better with that. I mean, hopefully I was using them more correctly this time.
Yeah.
We just got done. So my practicum was with the juvenile correctional facility, and we created a 4-week workshop solely based on positivity. So I feel pretty good right now presenting to people. So that's kind of nice for me. Yeah, I feel pretty good right now.
And that's something too, bringing, it was great to hear your athletic experience, but I think it's also great when you bring in your experience in your professional, like how these concepts connect. And I think that's something that if you have that and you're doing that, bring that into the workshop, because that gives us outside credibility.
Sure.
Too.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Joe and Ruben, I'd love to hear some feedback for Hannah from you guys.
I mean, the most important thing is the thing that I think I struggle to help people with, that I'm not going to have to help you with, is just, you have presence.
Mhm.
It's one of the most important things I feel like I could say, because when people don't, harder thing to help them develop.
Mhm.
But I think part of that, I think the reason for it is that you genuinely want to hear what other people have to say, so that this isn't primarily about you, that this is a conversation and a shared learning experience, not you knowing everything and imparting it from atop a mountain. And that's a real gift. And it's interesting to me that you say you were ever felt uneasy about presenting, because you do it naturally very, very well.
Thank you.
And I don't share that. Yeah, I don't share that with people easily, because
Thank you.
we see a lot of people who are really trying to build that capacity. I don't have anything really to fix per se, but an idea, because you do something there that I try to do in workshops, which is to the coaches about some of their own tools.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I would consider that I've started to do a lot more is to do that before I present tools. So
Okay.
if we're really trying to get athletes to this place where they feel excited about who they are and comfortable, with us on our team, and of course you're so much familiar with research, feel like they're really in a caring climate. What are some of the tools you use? And then, honestly, sometimes they'll cover all our tools.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so much more powerful. I don't care who they get the content from. One's developing the content on the fly, it's just more powerful for their whole group. So you might think about, those are some great ones. Here's a couple others that we thought of. Or honestly, Hannah, sometimes I skip that.
Okay.
We've had a great conversation about tools that was generated by the coaches themselves, and they think, oh, this dumb guy didn't have any ideas. We had all the ideas, which is awesome.
Perfect.
Thanks, Joe.
So
Ruben?
yeah, my feedback's very consistent with Joe's. And the one thing I would add is I thought that your intro piece was very solid. I liked what you did with it. I like how much time you spent on it. I like that you set the tone for interaction. So that's the one thing I would add to what Joe's feedback was.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Is that all you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was very good. I thought it was very good.
Thank you.
And I have the word presence written right there. So
Thank you.
that's why I'm not repeating it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was just reading through my notes, and I usually do like first impressions. And Hannah, you just have a lot of confidence. And I put down that she's older than she seems, and then I'm like, no, that's backwards. You actually seem older than you are. But I think that's a real tribute to you. As Joe was saying, we do this a lot, and we see a lot of people, and sometimes we just can't put our finger on like that it factor. And you have it. You have confidence in a very humble way, and you're just very relatable, which is awesome. And for somebody, as again, that's in your age and your experience in life, I would not hesitate to send you out in front of coaches that have decades of experience, because I just think you come across very, very confident and not a perfect, not cocky in any way. And that's a really delicate balance. One of the things that when Joe was talking, I was thinking of with sports psychology background that want to be PCA trainers. And I used to be all gung-ho and excited. And then I realized like, it's not always a good thing, because sometimes they're trying to give us too much academia and too much research and too much talking. And we've had a couple people who were like, wow, the resume is great, but I would fall asleep if I was in a workshop with them.
Yeah.
You and Chris especially, I think, the fact that the area that you're really focusing on is a caring climate aspects that make you care about people. And so it makes you a good listener. And you've got those qualities that are just excellent as a workshop facilitator, because you're actually facilitating conversation and you want to hear what people say and you want to bring it out of us more than dumping all the research on us.
Right.
Well, at the drop of a hat. It was funny that I actually asked you for more of it because I do think that is a really interesting part.
Just so you know, though, Hannah, I take absolute credit for you, because there I said you should be a trainer, and
you did.
So.
Credit, Joe. You get the check mark.
Well, I get so much discredit for so many things. I have to take my wins where I can get them. So
absolutely.
no, you're awesome, and it's we're excited to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Awesome. So I just wanted to give you some highlights, things I loved. I think the clapping right off the bat is huge. You know, get a way to make that clear right up front, just from a logistical point of view. I thought that was excellent. I think you made a personal connection right away when you said in the first 2 minutes, you know, I've had a lot of negative coaches. That right there will make you connect with people in the audience immediately. The 3 phrases, like when you said, like, you know, athletes with an empty tank, you got it all from us first. And then you said, yeah, there's 3 phrases we use to describe athletes with an empty tank. And then you're like, you hit them all. You know, that was just like, I liked that. Just the way you phrased that. Not instead of going, oh, well, yeah, here they are again. I mean, you went over them again, but you kind of confirmed first that we got them.
Mm-hmm.
I liked your activity. This is just coming from me. I'm not a baseball person. I didn't play baseball. Let me put it that way. I've watched baseball or softball. So when you said, like, you know, you're running from second to third and you're the third base coach, like, I'm thinking in my head, well, if I made it to second base, why are you yelling at me? Like, I did a good hit, you know? So I'm just cautioning that if you're with an audience that's not the sport that you're using an example for, just make sure everybody knows what you're talking about. That you wouldn't. Sometimes we assume people know what's going on. There was one trainer that did a basketball workshop and used an example of a shortstop. And I just commented, like, if you're doing a basketball workshop, it's okay to use other sport examples. But if you're throwing out a term like shortstop, they might not all exactly know where the shortstop is. So just be careful.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely.
But I thought it was good. I like the way you stretched it. I like the way you stretched it to a different example. I thought that was great. I also liked when you took the term listening for tank fillers and you said, actually, I like active listening. Like, I like adding to what we have. I think that stuck out for me. I thought that was great. The only opportunities I think where you could just add a little more to it, when you said magic ratio, you put up that slide. How many to 1? And you said, can anyone guess what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking in my mind, guess what is? You know, like, be specific about, can anyone guess the ratio of positives to criticisms so that the kids really do maintain a full tank?
Yep.
Because that's really what it is. That's specifically, that's the ratio. The ratio could be 1 to 1. Like, just make sure we know the ratio of what.
Right.
And why it's magic. You know, why is this a magical ratio? But I also liked your explanation of going, like, I don't say many words anyway. If I have to fill in 5 of them, you know, 5 to 1, that's crazy. Let me see. Only other super picky, if you go back to watch this again, count how many times you say right after a sentence.
Okay.
Little teeny tiny thing, but it's just a habit.
Yep.
And the what's and the, you know, if you're from Minnesota. But the rights happen a lot. So just sometimes before you do another thought, sometimes those tag-ons, I call them, make you seem less confident because you're kind of confirming, like, right, like, you're agreeing with me, right, and you don't need it. So, you know, just sometimes saying a sentence slower, breathing at the end can just knock out, and just being aware of it too. There's actually an app that we learned from Dr. Matt Abrams out in he's at Stanford.
Okay.
Public speaking professor, and he said there's actually an app on your phone. I forget what it's called. Word that you say, like, you would say right, and then if you're talking, every time you say it, your phone buzzes, which I thought was so funny.
I need to do that.
There's an app for that.
I have it in my hands, in my pocket. So it buzzes me.
It's like, isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
I thought that was great. Yeah. So that's all I have. I'm excited, and I'm excited that you're going to get a chance to get out. I'm going to consider you officially an associate trainer, and let us know. I will send you, I mean, I think you would probably know about, I'll send you any workshops that are near where you are, but it sounds to me like you're going to be doing most of them internally. So we wouldn't have record of any of that, but keep us posted how you're doing.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'm open to any that are going to be external as well. My semester is a lot shorter. So I'm only taking like 1 class since I'll be graduating in May, but
great.
We're going to keep pushing. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep trying pushing it out to both clubs and athletics. So kind of our goal this next semester is we're going to try and capitalize on, you know, our athletic department more. So
are you doing athlete workshops as well then? Or workshops for the athletes?
Yeah, I'm thinking that might be the case soon. Joe, do you know anything about any of that structure?
I don't. I need to talk to Mary about it some more. It's what we originally talked about was the athlete workshops for the club sports athletes in addition to the coaches workshops, but I don't think we really have a full framework for it yet.
Okay.
That app that Kelly was talking about, by the way, is called UMMO, UMMO, and you can enter whatever phrase you want it to remind you of.
I love that.
Apparently can't enter like dangling participles like I just did, but put or right or so. A lot of people, one really frequent one I'm noticing more and more, and I've even started to pick it up, I'm trying to be careful with it, is starting a sentence with so, or starting a response with so. I'm noticing is a really common affectation lately. So, and then start your.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one too.
Yeah, I would say the right thing I picked up in the past year and a half. I don't know where. I used to be a huge person, and then I picked up right for some reason. I don't know how it changed, but it just did. I think.
Does Mary do that? Have you? I'm trying to picture Mary when she was at our trainer institute.
Does she write a lot?
Yeah, you know what she does.
That's she does.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the video.
She does.
I'm thinking of the video that I shot with her.
You're
right. That's true. You know what's funny though? Kelly's prescription for fixing it is exactly right. If you start noticing it, it fixes it.
Yes. No, that's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct.
Right.
Right.
I know, right? I had an athlete years ago, a pro basketball player, who I know right was her response to anything, whether it was a question or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, hey Laura, how'd you do on that test today? And she would just look at me and say, I know, right? It made no sense. It was just her answer for everything.
At least she had something. Well, thank you guys so much for sitting in today. It's good to get more and more of an audience, especially from all of you that have.
Well, that was all the good news. The bad news is now we are moving you to New York.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
That's great.
Right?
Great. Funny on you guys. I'm looking towards the East Coast, so who knows?
Perfect. Well,
there you go.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
I'm excited. I'm absolutely excited.
Thanks, Hannah.
I'm gonna bug out, but you guys are welcome to chat as long as you want. I have to go.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks, guys.
Marathon.
Bye.
Bye, Hannah.
Yeah.